second part of Prog Rock episode 2. I recorded the 4 albums together, but once I'd edited the first 2 and we went beyond 11 minutes, I thought I'll make 2 videos because I know it's very difficult to keep going into 20 minutes. And so this is the second part of that episode 2, looking at the other 2 albums. And so I'm going to put this on the front of that so you're clear about what's going on. So we'll be having the 2 other reviews, A Question of Balance by the Moody Blues, and the 4th offering, the debut album by Supertramp, coming up next. Next up is A Question of Balance by the Moody Blues, a 6th album for them, an attempt for the group to strip down their lush psychedelic sound so that they could perform some of their work, or more of their work, in concert. It reached number 1 in the album charts and number 3 in the States. Of course, the personnel: There Will Be a Slide, Justin Hayward, John Lodge, Ray Thomas, Graham Edge, and Mike Pinder. Pinder on Mellotron. The title is represented by 2 tracks at the start and at the end of the album, and the vocals and writers are spread out again, so they all have a go, basically. Tracks generally segue together throughout. I'm going to skate through the tracks. The opener, called Question, is still a very impressive piece of music. I remember it vividly as a top-selling single at the time. It's got an orchestral mellotron feel to the acoustic chords that drive with bass runs, and the choir-like harmonies to Hayward's lead vocals. The album version is a minute longer than the single, but it is a song that is very easy on the ear. Track 2, How Is It We Are Here, segues into this track, and this is Pinder's mellotron, which drowns the folk elements in this. Pinder on vocals as well, and the tide rushes in, quite pretty. Hayward on mandolin and Thomas on vocals, and then we got Don't You Feel Small, frantic flute captured here with a medieval folk-like sound. And then we get on to Tortoise and the Hare, quite an impressive track this. It's got a more rock up tempo with a sing-along type vocal. The percussion driven beat is quite solid and the music is highly competent. But I do struggle to get any emotional attachment to it and most of this album. It's got a march-like feel. That's what I thought anyway. You can decide now, it's up to you. Folk rock, really. A bit of California seeping through with the U's and the R's on the harmonies and chorus. Hayward's guitar owes a little bit of a nod to Buffalo Springfield, I thought. And then we got a minstrel song, bit of a plodding medley here, a very cliche lyric as well, but it does come to life at the back end. Dawning is the Day is folk rock rather than prog. It's got some nice harmonies. A Melancholy Man, a bit stripped back at the start, acoustic guitar with choral harmonies again highlighted. It has a church-like theme to it and a sad mood. And it does go up a notch with Pinder's mellotron towards the end, as you drift into a swirling psychedelic haze. And then to the close of the balance, a spoken word philosophizing about life's balance to start. And then we've got strings, acoustic ripples to create that prog rock vision, and some delicate guitar towards the end, which I generally thought was lacking throughout this album. My view of it, it's one of those albums, aside from the opening track, you could put on and basically get on with another task and get back to it at the end and not remember any of it. but I've never been a big Moody Blues fan. So any Moody Blues fans out there, perhaps you can educate me about a question of balance. Final offering on this episode 2 of Prog Rock, Supertramp, their first album. Prior to a fortnight ago, I had never played this album, and I haven't really been a very avid follower of Supertramp either. They did play at the Isle of Wight Rock Festival in 1970, so that suggests something. This was their debut, and it was a commercial flop, described by one critic as inundated with pretentious instrumentals meanderings, with greater emphasis and attention granted to the keyboards and guitars than to the writing and the overall feel of the music. They are prog rock with a bit of folk and a bit of pop rock. There's going to be a slide with the band members, but Roger Hodgson is on acoustic guitars, Richard Palmer plays guitar, and Robert Miller on drums, and a few other folks. Let's go through it anyway. Twice. It didn't really jump out at me, it has to be said. Surely the opening piano intro with solo vocals segues into It's a Long Road, and here the guitar and keyboards mix with a gentle riff before it breaks into a fast jazz style pace. Nice ideas. There's a bit of harmonica at the back end, which woke me up, giving it a blues edge. Another short segue leads into And I Am Not Like Other Birds of Prey. This has got a more mellow folk feel, vocals to the fore. Nice melodies, but lacks a bit of energy. Words unspoken next. I thought they sounded very much like Genesis here, with mellow prog rock textures. The keyboards mix with the guitar subtly, and there's some cello hidden in there with balalaika, but I found it difficult to hear. And then we move on to Maybe I'm a Beggar. Nearly 7 minutes this effort. It's got a gentle delivery. It's got precision for sure, and it jumps into life with sharp jabbing guitar, ably supported by the rhythmic organ. But again, didn't move me that much. And then we've got Home Again, which is a very brief song, which leads us out of side 1. Into side 2, Nothing to Show's first on. Had a 50s guitar sound that stabs out at you, but the organ-driven rhythm is considerable. But there's a bit of piano and electric piano thrown into the mix. Sounds like live solos mixed together a bit, and it ultimately goes nowhere. And then we've got the last few tracks, and I'll get onto those in a sec. Song then. Again, nice pretty inflows, and there's a flageolet on this. I looked it up, but it's a recorder basically, so it's got a very folk-like feel to it. Missing a hook, I felt. Try again now. This is the 12-minute opus. This is where your fusion erupts. It's an impressive, albeit extravagant and overblown in pieces. Hodgson's use of cello and flageolet and acoustic guitar is endearing in spots. He works with an alliance with Davis, and it was evident that their songwriting was going to be one of the band's strengths. The guitar work is very jazz orientated and a highlight as the tempo increases. And at 6 minutes, the guitar reaches rock precipice and the band sound very together and very tight. It then continues to try and sound like Genesis, but Davis isn't a Gabriel, and it shows. The 9-minute mark leads into jazz avant-garde phase, which is pretty disposable. And then there's a final track, Surely, with solo piano and vocals for the first minute, before a recycled instrumental phase with some nice sulky guitar. So what do I make of it? Well, definitely this has to be played more often by me. I've basically forgotten most of it, and if I didn't have my notes to sort of resurrect a memory, it would have certainly completely gone out of my mind. But thousands loved this band, and I guess they consider this debut album as a strong point. Anyway, that's my look at Prog Rock, episode 2.